Okay, so welcome everyone to today's Wednesday weekly around employee supported volunteering. Just to introduce myself, I work for Action Together within the volunteering team, and we are doing a bit of a campaign at the moment around corporate volunteering, trying to encourage our member organisations to make the most of the support that local businesses can offer, and also trying to link up local businesses a little bit better with our member organisations as well. So just to let you know, we are recording the session. We usually post the sessions on our YouTube, tend to get quite a lot of hits. So I have muted everybody for the moment, but there will be a chance for us to have a bit of a discussion towards the end, and I'll stop the recording at that point just to give everybody a chance to be able to talk a little bit more openly. So yeah, thank you for attending, and we'll get started. So first off, just to give a little bit of a definition around what we mean when we're talking about employee supported volunteering, or ESV. So the NCVO refer to ESV as volunteering where employers actively support or have schemes for employees to give unpaid help to a group, club or organisation, either by giving them time during working hours or by organising different types of volunteering activities. It doesn't refer to schemes for giving money, which is sort of a separate way that businesses can provide that support. So as an infrastructure organisation, a volunteering centre, we are really noticing an increase in the number of inquiries from local businesses to get involved in supporting the community through volunteering. And a lot of this, I think, stemmed from the response that we saw during the pandemic. So during the COVID pandemic, we did see a huge increase in businesses offering that support out to the community, and even providing support on the front line, really. So as we sort of move on to the next challenge, which is around cost of living, we are seeing that businesses are still wanting to respond in that way. So as well, I think there's also businesses are looking a little bit more at their social corporate responsibility. So looking at different ways that they can look to positively impact the community that they're supporting and that they're working within, and providing more sustainable links within the community. And there is also sort of that new generation of employees that are placing a little bit of a greater value on working for a responsible business, and also working for an organisation that sort of places importance on their own learning and development, and gives them those opportunities to do something other than just their sort of 9 to 5 job, something that will benefit them as well. And we are seeing that volunteer involving organisations, sort of 93% of volunteer involving organisations are reporting a real increase in their need for volunteers, specifically within the ESV sort of sector. So it's a two-way street, really, and we're definitely seeing an increase in need. So what does ESV look like? So it really does vary according to what the employer can offer, and also the needs of the groups that they're wanting to support. So some employers will have specific schemes where employees can provide a certain amount of volunteering hours or days per year. Others will have like a little bit more of an ad hoc arrangement, or maybe we'll want to do sort of one day a year for the whole of their team and treat it as a little bit more of a team building activity. So looking at the different volunteering activities, again, that there's a lot of variation there. So we can be looking at practical activities, project-based activities, such as painting and gardening. We've had quite a lot of businesses that have got involved in specific projects like that. I've worked in an organisation previously where we had businesses come in and we set up a brand new charity shop. So they did like the painting and the fitting for that. So that can be a really good way of businesses and their staff getting that team building in, but also delivering sort of a real start and end to a project. There's then also more skills-based roles, so things that really tap into the expertise of the employee. So that might be things like supporting with HR, maybe finance. We have also had people who become trustees, and they use their employee-supported volunteering hours to become trustees and manage to fit it in around that. And again, length of engagement, that can really vary too. So we can be looking at that one-off project type work, or I think sort of something that's becoming a lot more clear to us is that people are really looking for that long-term engagement too. So rather than just doing, sort of a one-off day, they'll actually be looking to really network with the charity and provide some long-term support. So I just wanted to share this slide, which is relating to motivators for getting involved in employee-supported volunteering, and it's taken from the Time Well Spent survey that the NCBO deliver. So it's really looking at the motivators for getting involved in ESV, thinking about all of the different parties that are involved. So from the volunteers, the volunteer involving organisations and employers as well. And obviously, all of those parties are sort of united in a bit of a common goal to have that positive impact within the community and to help others. But also there are specific motivators for those three groups too. So the volunteers report that it's the helping others and learning new skills that are sort of the main motivators for them wanting to get involved. The volunteer involving organisations obviously have got a huge need for more volunteers, so they can achieve that through engaging a little bit more in ESV. And also they're looking to really strengthen relationships in the community, so really partnering up with the businesses that are operating within their area. And then for employers, they're looking to boost employee satisfaction. So there has been quite a lot of work around really good ESV schemes, boosting employee satisfaction, boosting retainment, and also sort of making sure that employees see that their employer really values their own development. And then obviously there's some work around like business reputations. So if businesses are getting really heavily involved with supporting local charities, their sort of reputation within that community is obviously going to be increased. So I think they're really sort of key things to consider if you're a member organisation and you're looking to develop a scheme to support employee-supported volunteering and really sort of make the most of what employers can offer. So just moving on to our case study for the session. So I've asked Tom, who works within the food bank at Oldham, to provide a little bit of an insight into their work with employee-supported volunteering, just to give sort of his experience, maybe any challenges that they've come across, just to make it a little bit more real. So yeah, I'll hand over to Tom.
Thank you very much. So thank you all this morning for coming on. It's really nice to speak to you about this. It's something that has been really helpful for us, especially over the last few months, with such a huge demand on food banks. So with employee supported volunteering, it's something that maybe in the past at the food bank we've not really had the need for, just due to the sort of amount of volunteers that we have internally anyway, and the sort of level of work going on. But certainly over the last sort of 3 to 6 months, our demand has kind of skyrocketed quite a lot, which has meant that we've had to kind of look at other avenues to make sure that we can kind of keep up with the demand, but also it gives us a really good way to engage with local businesses and local companies that kind of want to learn more about the food bank and the work that we do, but also want to kind of offer their support and get a bit of experience in this kind of sector of work. So one example is Royton Carpets, who've supported us for a very long time. The majority of our employee supported volunteering supports our delivering of food parcels, just as that is something that it kind of requires a lot of people involved to make sure that we can keep delivering all the food parcels to people around Oldham. We follow a delivery model, so we don't have collection of food parcels from the clients, which means that we do really rely on volunteer drivers and people coming in to sort of support us with doing that. And Royton Carpets have been really good, because obviously they're a very local company, and they want to give back to their community, so they kind of offer us a driver and a van, which obviously enables us to sort of get the parcels out a bit faster. We've got a van ourselves, but it's usually used for collections throughout the day, so having an extra van with a lot more space to deliver our parcels has been really helpful for us. And because they are local, it means that we can sometimes call them in a sort of emergency to sort of help us out and make sure we get through the work that we've got. Another example is through ADT Workplace, who again supported us with delivering food parcels. They've got a fleet of vans which on certain days, once a month or so, they can offer us a day with a driver and a van again, which has allowed us to sort of keep up with the demand on those days. But it's also meant for, especially for both of these companies and a few others that I'll mention in a minute as well, it's gave us a really good link into the businesses, and it's meant that we can organize other things, such as things like fundraisers involved with the employees of that business, to sort of raise money for the food bank, and also gives us that kind of strong relationship, so we can sort of talk to them about doing collections of food donations as well. So in the kind of run up to Christmas, having that kind of close relationship with both of these organizations, businesses, has meant that we can kind of have really clear communication with them and tell them what we need and what they can kind of offer, and work that out between us. So that's been really useful. Another example of employee supported volunteering that we've got is through a company called Ultimate Products, who have their headquarters local to us in Oldham, and they have started doing employee supported volunteering for us, again after some conversations around other support that they could offer us. So they named us as their charity of the year. So they've been doing things like fundraisers for us throughout the year, and sort of themed events with their employees. And as a result of those things, it then led into the question of, we might have some people that we could offer to do some ESV days at the food bank. And that's been brilliant, because they've been able to offer us at least 2 volunteers on a couple of days a week every week for the last kind of few months, and they're going to continue that for a month or so longer as well, which again, given our demand, has been a real help, because it's meant that we can kind of keep up with it. And also I think it's been a really great learning experience for us as well at the food bank, because having interaction with a few different companies has meant that we can kind of have a look at the process of how it works, and what the employees from those companies kind of thought about the experience, and what they would like to suggest for future ESV volunteers as well. So that's been just really useful for us, and it's meant that although we've kind of stuck with the delivery driver as a role for the employee supported volunteers, it's given us a bit more kind of time to think about how we could also offer other areas of the organization for them to kind of get involved in as well. And ideally, we'll be able to have a really strong process where we can offer people different experiences within the food bank, and hopefully increase that kind of communication with local businesses and build those relationships, but also just to give people a kind of idea about an area of work they may never have been in before as well. So overall, it's been a really positive experience, and we're going to look to continue doing it, especially as our demand increases, to sort of boost the volunteer numbers and just keep that kind of communication link going through with the businesses, really. That's about everything I'd say, Josie.
That's great. Thank you, Tom. I think we'll have some opportunity towards the end to maybe ask any questions and for maybe you to discuss any specifics. But I did just want to quickly ask around any sort of induction or training that you provide for, you know, ESV volunteers. Does it differ to your standard volunteers that are obviously coming in and giving sort of a bit of a longer commitment?
Yeah, of course. That's the one thing that you kind of don't get as much with ESV. Obviously, you don't get that kind of time, and you know, where ideally you want to give those people an opportunity to come for a few days in the year. Obviously, that's not always possible with the companies. So with the inductions, it tends to be a kind of you know, a sort of condensed version of what we would give to our existing volunteers, just because obviously they want to be involved really and getting stuck in with the work. So the kind of more time you spend on the induction, the less time they've got to do that. So obviously we're just kind of covering the basics, and because so far we've been fitting them into the role of the kind of delivering the food parcels, it's meant that we can focus on that as an area of induction, and you know, kind of not necessarily give them the full induction that we'd give to other volunteers. And then if they come back, then, you know, obviously there's other kinds of roles that they can have. I think it's one thing that we've kind of learned is it's really important to have a really clear process for it, because obviously some companies kind of come without a kind of understanding of what you would need as an organization to get these people started and to be able to induct them properly and safely into a role that they're going to be taking part in, and you know, they're going to enjoy it hopefully as well. So I think, yeah, having a really clear ask of the companies, so they've got that information, they can give that back to the employees. They need to feed through information about, you know, themselves or contact numbers or emergency contacts and things like that beforehand. It's just a really good idea to get that kind of sorted as quickly as you can before they're coming in, really. So you've got that kind of backup, and you know who's coming, and you can plan a bit more for you know, the stuff that they're going to take part in, really.
Yeah, I think that's really key, sort of making sure that those expectations are sort of really clear from the outset. I think sort of sometimes businesses may come with an ask that, you know, for you to facilitate, it might just, it's, you know, for the time and resources that you'd have to put into that, it's not always sort of beneficial. So making sure that you're clear on what you can offer and sort of meeting what the business wants to be able to offer is really, really key. So yeah, thank you. So just moving on to the next slide, I just wanted to raise people's attention if they've not already heard of A Good Thing. So they're a CIC that work nationally, and their goal really is it's environmental and to support charities at the same time. So sending less to landfill and more to a good cause is their strapline. So if you've not heard of them, they offer a free-to-use online platform to support local charities to find any resources that they might need. So they will basically look to match charities up with businesses that have got things to give away. So it's a way for businesses to support charities when they've not necessarily got the time to actually go and do some volunteering. It's sort of another way to offer that support. So they've had all sorts of donations from businesses, from sort of like office fits to then sort of more strange items that you just, you know, you sort of wouldn't always think to go on a site like that for. I think that I was reading before about some bamboo poles that were donated. So there are sort of really all sorts of things on there. And as a charity, you can sort of go on there and basically apply for anything that's registered on there to give away. So I just wanted to signpost people to that. If you are a business as well, you can set yourself up on there, and anything that you no longer need that could still be of use to a charity can be put on there. I have put a contact on. Kathy Benwell is the founder of A Good Thing. She's sort of really keen to get more businesses on there, but also to support any charities that might want to start using the site. So if you did want to contact her or to have a read of the organisation, I've put the web link on there as well. So that's just a little bit of extra information for anybody that might be interested. So final slide. So sort of how can we at Action Together support you to get involved with more ESV work? So as I said at the start, we really are seeing that demand increasing from both our member organisations and from local businesses wanting to get involved. So if as a member organisation you've got any opportunities that you think might suit well with to be matched up to a local business, please get in touch and let us know. If you're sort of new to ESV and you've not really sort of made as much use of it as you think you could do as an organisation, that's something that again we can have some conversations with. We are in the process of just sort of obtaining a bit of a database really of offers from local businesses, so that ideally we can then look to match businesses up with organisations, especially businesses that are offering certain expertise. And if those expertise are really needed within our member organisations, we can hopefully sort of channel that support in that way. So I've put our volunteering team email on there. The team do support across Oldham, Tameside and Rochdale, so you can get in touch with us that way, and then the person that supports within your area will get back in touch with you to discuss further. But yeah, thank you everybody for attending the session, and I hope that it was useful, maybe give you a bit of a few ideas, maybe something to think about.